Hello, and welcome to this first episode in the Coronavirus webcast series. My name is Evelyn Oswald, and I am a trainer at the Sales and Service Academy. In this episode, we are going to take a closer look at what the coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2, is. Please consider that the following information is the current status of July 2020. All following information and findings are constantly being updated by experts as global research in these fields is ongoing and continuing. Kindly make sure to constantly check for updates, especially if it comes to regulations in your own country. All information given is collected and based on expertise and research provided by various company departments. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact your sales support. The coronavirus is a microorganism. Let's quickly take a look what this means. A microorganism is a microscopic organism which exists in a single-celled form or in a colony of cells, such as bacteria, fungi, and parasites. Also counted here are viruses and fungal spores, even though these are actually not considered to be living organisms. Now, let's take a closer look at the difference between bacteria and viruses. Bacteria are considered to be living unicellular organisms that can take care of themselves. In their cell, they carry and produce everything they need to live. They multiply through cell division, they have their own genetic makeup and metabolism, which is why they are considered to be living and thus can be killed. On the other hand, viruses are not living beings because they do not undergo cell division and are dependent of a host to reproduce themselves and survive. Viruses are relatively simple. They consist of one or more molecules and are sometimes surrounded by lipids or proteins. The molecules contain the genetic material. Like I said, viruses are dependent of a host to survive. They dock onto a human, animal, or plant to pass on their genome. Now, we have established that viruses are not living beings. This means that they cannot be killed. So actually, when we're speaking of viruses, we say that they are inactivated. So viruses are being inactivated. Viruses are flexible and constantly changing and adapting, which ensures them their survival, since this way they can get by the defense of the host easier. Viruses are differentiated in two main categories. We have the non-enveloped viruses. These are generally considered to be more resistant to inactivation. Some examples are the norovirus or the rotavirus. Of course, there are a lot more out there. And the second type are the enveloped viruses. This type of virus is, like the name already says, surrounded or enveloped by a protein and/or lipids. This virus type is generally relatively sensitive and can be inactivated by heat and disinfecting agents. Examples are, of course, the coronavirus, but also other influenza viruses, HIV, and many more. But how can we identify if a disinfection agent is inactivating the virus? Let me tell you. So, if the label on the bottle says limited virucidal, the product can be used against all enveloped viruses. If the label says limited virucidal plus, the product is effective against all enveloped viruses, but also, in addition, it inactivates the noro, rota, and adenovirus. Now, if the label says virucidal, it is effective in inactivating all enveloped and non-enveloped viruses. If you want to find out more about how our products are categorized, make sure to watch the webcast on disinfecting agents. Now, let's take a closer and more detailed look at what is currently known about the novel virus SARS-CoV-2. Coronaviruses are common in different animals like bats, birds, armadillos, and so on. This means it has a zoonotic origin. Rarely, an animal coronavirus affects a human, but sometimes this does actually happen, like it has happened in the current case. Like I mentioned, there is actually not just one coronavirus existing, but there are actually many different types of coronaviruses and strains existing. Some of these can cause colds or other mild respiratory illnesses, while other virus strains can cause more serious diseases like severe acute respiratory syndrome and MERS. Here, we can see the coronavirus family that can infect humans. Some of these are less familiar to us, while others have become more famous, like MERS or SARS, and currently the SARS-CoV-2. So, what is this novel virus and where did it come from? The virus SARS-CoV-2, or when it manifests into the disease, it is then called COVID-19. And what you hear a lot out there and in everyone's mouth is the wording, the coronavirus. Early hypotheses linked the virus outbreak to a seafood market in Wuhan, China in December 2019. It is believed, but not yet 100% proven, that the virus was transmitted to humans from bats. Many sources state that officials are still tracing the exact source. The virus has its name from its appearance. When looking at it under a microscope, it looks like it is covered with little pointed structures, these surrounded like a corona or a crown. The diameter of the virus is about 0.1 micrometers. But remember that the drops and the aerosols in which it is transported can be larger. So the virus is spread through droplets and aerosols released into the air. These droplets are released into the air when someone that is infected with the virus coughs, sneezes, talks, or even sings. Even while we're exhaling, aerosols are constantly being released into the air. Testings in Germany and Switzerland have shown how effective and dangerous aerosols are for the spread of the virus, which is why it is very important for us to wear mouth masks. Researchers say that these drops travel a bit less than 2 meters, so around 6 feet, and then they fall to the ground or onto a surface in a few seconds. Aerosols can travel a bit farther, which is why it is important to follow the regulations on social distancing and avoiding contact as much as possible. Infection with the virus can occur through direct contact. So, for example, if an infected person coughs on you, this would be the human-to-human transmission pathway. But infection can also occur through indirect contact. So, by touching an infected surface or an object and then touching your mouth, nose, or eyes. This is not thought to be the main way of spreading. Still today, scientists are learning more about the way the virus spreads. The virus can be spread even when an infected person is not showing any symptoms. Now, let's take a look. How long does a virus survive or live? So studies have shown that the virus may remain viable from up to hours to even days on surfaces, depending on their material. It has been found out that the virus is viable for up to 72 hours on plastic, 48 hours on stainless steel, 24 hours on cardboard, 4 hours on copper, and 3 hours it is airborne. Some of these numbers sound a bit long, but researchers say that it is important to keep in mind that the amount of virus that remains behind, which in the first few minutes is already a lot less. An infection is still possible, but due to the low amount, unlikely. Remember, we established earlier, the virus needs a host to be able to survive. What inactivates the virus SARS-CoV-2? The virus can be inactivated with heat. At 56 degrees Celsius, it is inactivated. And also, disinfectant agents that are virucidal, limited virucidal, and/or virucidal limited plus help. Using these on surfaces is very effective because once the oily surface coat of the virus is disabled, the virus can't infect a host cell anymore. This is why hygiene matters and is so important. And as Kasia, we can provide a holistic approach to this. Here we have, as a company, a great selling advantage. Cleaning will become more and more visible in every target group and in every home. And Kasia offers the right cleaning and disinfection solutions. Make sure to follow the other webcast episodes in this series for more detailed information on how to add value to our product in these times. There are many things that we can already do ourselves to protect ourselves and others against infection. Good hygiene is a good start and very important. On a personal level, measures we can take are, for example, avoid touching high contact surfaces in public, like tables, doorknobs, light switches, and so on. Washing your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water is essential and really already goes a long way. Make sure to maintain a distance between yourself and others of around 2 meters, so around about 6 feet. And if you're not able to keep this distance, make sure to wear a mouth mask. A mouth mask not only protects yourself from possibly getting infected through aerosols that fly around, but also it protects for others from aerosols and droplets that you might release into the air. Also, try avoiding touching your eyes, mouth, and nose. In a professional context, make sure to clean and disinfect surfaces that many people come in contact with, so these so-called touch points. These include, again, doorknobs, light switches, keyboards, faucets, and so on. When cleaning infected areas with a cleaning process that is spraying or lifting an infected material up, make sure to wear personal protective equipment. Make sure it is certified to protect against SARS-CoV-2. It should include goggles, gloves, and a breathing mask. And the PPE has to be disinfected after use. Now, you might be wondering, how are we testing to see if something, so one of our products or a cleaning process, works against the virus SARS-CoV-2? Let me give you an example with our steam cleaners. Our steam cleaners in the professional segment as well as in the retail segment have been tested and certified by an independent laboratory in their use against enveloped viruses, such as the virus SARS-CoV-2 is. In the test procedure, a model virus was used as a test virus to represent enveloped viruses. This virus behaves the same way as the virus SARS-CoV-2 does when it comes to steam cleaning, so when it comes to cleaning with heat, which is why it was used for testing. Using a test virus or a representative virus is actually a very typical and usual procedure for testing. I mean, you can't test all the viruses out there. It is done like this when the actual virus is too dangerous for laboratory testing or if it's simply not available. Current testings for more viruses are being done. For more detailed information, follow the webcast episode about steam cleaners. When it comes to SARS-CoV-2, there are many different regulations that need to be considered. Most countries have independent institutes that are testing and approving disinfectant agents as well as cleaning procedures. It is also important to state that the regulations regarding health measurements are different in every country. So please make sure to check which institutes can provide valid information regarding the regulation in your country, and please act accordingly. Let me give you an example for German healthcare. Here in Germany, independent institutes like, for example, the VAH, so the Association for Applied Hygiene, and the RKI, the Robert Koch Institute, test how efficient disinfecting products and procedures are. These models are then accepted and used by institutions in the healthcare system. Finding trustworthy information can sometimes be very challenging, but it is very important. Here we have listed some examples of trustworthy sources where you can keep yourself informed. There's the WHO, the World Health Organization, the Robert Koch Institute, the Association for Applied Hygiene, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the United States Environmental Protection Agency. There's also the Johns Hopkins University and Medicine Coronavirus Resource Center, European Public Health Alliance. And of course, this list is not complete and only shows an example. So again, please make sure to consider and visit the websites of your local institutes, organizations, and health ministries to keep yourself up to date. Thank you for watching this first webcast episode about the virus SARS-CoV-2 in our new webcast series. For more information about other coronavirus relevant cleaning topics, please follow the other webcasts in the series. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact your sales support. Here we have an overview of all the episodes you can watch within this webcast series. Make sure to watch the episode 1, What is Coronavirus, and the episode 2, Terminology of Hygiene Relevant Measures, before you go on to watch the other episodes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Kasia makes a difference.